What up, Wizards? It's Dev from The Place. As a matter of fact, today you're getting Tooth Infection Dev. Kind of a rare Dev, but don't worry. I'm on way more Tylenol than a person should consume in one day, at least according to the label, so maybe I'm a little bit goofy for this one, which is good, I think. It's probably best that I be able to put a positive spin on this. I guess I'm in the right headspace for that because I regret to inform some of you, and I guess I'm thrilled to inform others, that we got a Sonic secret lair yesterday. I would have covered it yesterday, but Squid Game Season 3 came on. Just watched that entire thing all day with my wife. But anyway, today we're going to talk about this Sonic secret lair, which normally wouldn't be a big deal. I didn't even talk at all about the SpongeBob secret lair. But in this case, we're getting the same kind of like reskinned secret lairs that we often get with these like one-off properties. But we're also getting, just so you know, 7 brand new cards that have never been printed in any form before. And that would actually be okay with me if they all weren't like amazing. Because almost all 7 of these cards are really, really good. And they're going to be legal in Commander and Legacy and Vintage. Which again would be fine if the cards weren't as broken as the first water level in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. These cards just look really, really good to me, man. At least half of them. Again, there's 7 brand new Sonic the Hedgehog Magic cards we got to look at. Sentence I was sure I would utter one day. I was just hoping it was a little bit farther down the road, and at least half of them, 3.5 of these 7 cards, look absolutely cracked to me. So let's get to it, man. I think the best way to approach this video today is the same way I would a preview video, right? Let's read off these cards to you, talk about what cards work well with them, and just how good they are in the scheme of things. And again, spoiler alert, I think a lot of these cards are very good. First of all, there's Tails. Miles Tails Prower over here is 3 mana, 1, a white, and a blue for a 3/1 legendary Fox Artificer with both flash and flying. Whenever a vehicle you control enters, draw a card if the vehicle has flying. Otherwise, put a flying counter on it. So I guess this draws you a card off of a lot of vehicles that you might play in Commander already, like big nasty vehicles like Parhelion 2 and maybe like Valor's Flagship is there. Those are good cards to be able to draw a card off of, but all the way down to like Unidentified Hover Ship and Thopter Fabricator and Cargo Ship. That's a brand new one from Final Fantasy, actually. So if you want to play your Final Fantasy cards with your Sonic cards that have a whole video game thing going on, that might be fun. But yeah, drawing a card off of Cargo Ship might actually be pretty good because it only costs a couple of mana and helps ramp you into more vehicles. And back to Unidentified Hover Ship for a second. I like that a lot. You get a removal spell that draws you a card. It's only 3 mana. Like it's pretty all right, man. The Pridewin, I guess. I think that's another one that I had planned to mention. That should be in the big vehicles category, but that's actually a really sweet one. Again, you want to play your Fallout cards with your Final Fantasy cards and your Sonic cards. But anyway, there's a lot of vehicles, I guess is what I should be saying, that Miles works really, really well with, either as your commander or, again, in the 99, now that vehicles can just be your commander. But at the end of the day, Miles is definitely not, like, the most exciting of these new cards. We'll reserve that for the last, 3 cards we look at, but with that in mind, let's move on to Dr. Eggman here. We got a true Sega-respecting nerd over at Wizards of the Coast that was like, we're not going to call him Dr. Robotnik. His name is Dr. Eggman. Dr. Eggman is 5 mana, 2, a blue, a black, and a red for a 3/6 legendary human scientist with flying. At the beginning of your end step, draw a card. Then each opponent faces a villainous choice. That player discards a card, or you may put a construct, robot, or vehicle from your hand onto the battlefield. Okay, so just kind of on a base level, like every turn you draw a card, everybody else discards a card is kind of okay. That's not bad on a 3/6 flyer in and of itself, but this works with a lot of really, really cool artifacts. For one, a lot of Gear Hulks, you don't want to discard a card? I guess I'll drop my noxious Gear Hulk. It seems great. Combustible Gear Hulk. Now you have to face another choice, or I draw the 3 cards or whatever. You could do like Oil Deep Gear Hulk from the newer sets. I guess there's also Coal Stoke Gear Hulk from the newer sets, fits within this color identity. And that's really neat because, the way Coal Stoke is worded, if I'm not mistaken, it's already your end step when this ability triggers. So you'll be able to reanimate something and keep it until your next end step, which should be an entire turn cycle. So that's also sick. You could just grab like a Metalwork Colossus though if you wanted to. That is also a construct. Cityscape Leveler, just drop that. You have to actually cast it to get the bonus off of it, but you'll attack with it next turn. It'll be fine. But I guess the other thing I wanted to point out is Mirror Battlesphere with this. Interestingly enough, I believe there's a mirror token in one of these 3 secret lairs. One of the ones with reskins, I think, has a mirror token in it. So that really points you in the direction of Mirror Battle Spear with Dr. Eggman here, or whatever his name is. It is Doctor. I was going to call him Professor Eggman for a second. There's a lot of different construct options that you can choose. And there's even a few robots. I imagine with Edge of Eternities, there's going to be more robots too, likely. So, he'll have even more stuff that he can throw onto the table before too long. This is a neat commander, but again, not the most busted thing we'll look at today. We're getting there. So let's look at an unassuming but probably extremely powerful Magic card. Here's Amy Rose right here. 4 mana, 2 a red and a white for a 3/3 legendary Hedgehog warrior. With haste, whenever Amy Rose attacks, attach up to 1 target equipment to her. Sick. Then up to 1 other target attacking creature gets +X+0 until end of turn, where X is Amy Rose's power. I like this better than like any cloud that we saw in the Final Fantasy set. And that's saying a lot. I really liked all 3 clouds, but were there more? I think there's just 3. Anyway, where are we in Magic at this point? How many clouds were in the last set? So we're looking at the Sonic the Hedgehog card, but how many were in the Final Fantasy set? What is happening? But anyway, does this, I've just now noticed this reading this card. I hadn't really seen this before, but this just says attach an equipment to her. It does not say an equipment you control. It doesn't say that. It just says attach an equipment to her. That's insane. I guess what you're supposed to do with this is put a Colossus hammer on her, especially considering that her weapon is a giant hammer. So it only makes sense. Just slide the Colossus hammer onto her. Turn 4. She's got haste. It's insane she has haste. Like, it makes sense she has haste because hedgehogs are fast in this universe, but not in most, but in this one, yes. But anyway, she has haste. So the turn she comes down, she just bolts any equipment to her for free and gets to swing in that turn. Your opponent never knew to solve it. Oh, I didn't expect Amy Rose, the Hedgehog from Sonic the Hedgehog. I didn't expect them to play that on turn 3. Things get so crazy so fast with this card. I think that a lot of people are just going to look at this and be like, oh, equipment lady. Who cares? I think it's actually like way nuttier than it looks. But speaking of exactly that sentiment here, we're going to look at Super State. 7 mana for a legendary aura. It's an enchantment. It enchants a creature that you control. Enchanted creature has base power and toughness 9/9 and has flying, first strike, trample, and haste. Jeez. Whenever enchanted creature deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to each other opponent. Why wouldn't it? I can't wait for this to get reskinned as Super Saiyan when the Dragon Ball Z Universes Beyond comes out. It will. It's coming. I honestly will buy it. It's probably going to be pretty hype, really. But I just don't... I feel like this is almost a signal that we're not doing a Dragon Ball Z Universes Beyond. It's like, we wanted to save this for Super Saiyan, but here it is now in the freaking Sonic set. This card is wild. Any deck can play this card. It's 7 mana of any color. Why? Why is it 7 mana of any color? It's nuts, dude. This is Commander. Like, Soul Rings and such. Mana Rocks. We all play like 13 Mana Rocks in our deck. We can get to this. It's ain't that big of a deal. We got ritual effects. Oh my goodness. Why is it 7 mana seems like a lot, right? I really don't think that it is. It's an aura, so you have to stick it to your creatures, right? But put it on an indestructible or hexproof guy, about a ping. There's already plenty of commanders that you want to be, to staple hexproof or indestructibility to anyway, with like a timely ward or some other thing. So there's just a lot of ways to protect your commanders, right? So it probably won't be so hard to stick the 7 mana aura when you finally get to that much mana, right? Or maybe again, your commander has built-in indestructible hexproof, makes it easier. For instance, the card that I'm going to mention, and I'm probably not going to mention any other cards because my mind went directly to Cotis and no other cards, dude. Cotis with this is disgusting. It makes your Cotis like base power toughness 9/9, and now it flies and stuff. Like it's going to damage whoever it's going in at. So gotta order a copy of this for Cotis, like no matter what. And basically any Enchantress deck that ever existed in Commander, you probably want a copy of this. So this one is the first one that I think is probably going to be worth money and people are going to freak out about. And I hope I'm not being a Timmy here. I do think there are specific decks that slots directly into. My God, get in Cotis. You got to get in Cotis right now. And just wins games, dude. So yeah, this card's insane. I feel pretty confident in saying, like, in Commander, this card's pretty insane, especially if you're not playing CDH and you're just hanging out with the boys and the sisters playing some Magic on a Saturday night at the Commander table at your kitchen. table, this card probably rips. So yeah, I'm actually like halfway excited about this card. I'm sorry to say it, but it's just true. But there's 3 cards left, and I'm already talking this way. I'm already at this level of like, oh my god, do you see how crazy this Magic card is? This Sonic the Hedgehog card. It's so weird. Anyway, and we have 3 left. So with that said, let's take a look at Knuckles the Echidna, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Knuckles meta. This is 4 mana, 2 and 2 red for a legendary Echidna warrior. It's a 2/4 with double strike, trample, and haste. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. Are you out of your mind? There's more to this card, by the way. It's got a win the game mode on it. He's also got Treasure Hunter. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 30 or more artifacts, why don't you just win the game? You did it. Okay, so I'm actually going to crack go behind the curtain here. Do not look behind the curtain and pick up my notebook because I think I have more cards written down for this guy than any other guy in the video, or lady for that matter. So with that in mind, just roaming throne, naming warrior. You just roaming throne. Name warrior. That'd be a thing you could do with this. I guess you could name Echidna if you wanted, but I don't do that, But yeah, create double treasure tokens is kind of insane. And roaming throne is an artifact too, so it counts towards the 30 artifact thing. If you want to win the game with all the artifacts, you could always try Bootlegger's Stash. If this is not your commander, if it's in your 99 and you just want to get there, Bootlegger Stash makes all your lands tap for treasure tokens. So in a couple of turns, you should be able to probably do it. Brass's Bounty, I guess, if you're in red, if this is your commander, is another way of doing it. If you just cast Brass's Bounty once, you probably have like 8 treasures off of that. So that's one way of doing it. There's also Genesis Chamber, which allows you to put artifact tokens into play at a pretty good clip for only a couple of mana. So you could try that out. And there's other stuff, Academy Manufacturer is probably one of the better ways of doing this, because whenever a creature procs for combat damage, now you get 3 different kinds of tokens, if I'm not mistaken, for each trigger on that, or for each treasure token you would get. So that's probably a good way of pulling it off. You could also Strionic Resonator, I guess, because it too is an artifact, and you could just copy this trigger on Knuckles and get twice as many treasures in a combat step, which also seems great. Genji Glove, right? Because double strike, again, the fact that he has double strike is pretty sick, because he'll deal combat damage twice theoretically, and you'll get that many treasure tokens, which could be good. But it works with any double strike creatures, obviously. So just fill your deck with double strikers and get a bunch of treasure tokens that way. But if you wanted to, again, Genji Glove is a pretty sick way of going about things. Just a crazy, this card's crazy, dude. Like, it's just good enough to go, I think, in most red decks by itself. That's why I keep saying, like, if it's your commander, if it blah, blah, blah. Because it doesn't have to be. It just looks like it. This is kind of, in some ways, the most purely, you don't have to build around it. It's just good. Throw it in every deck with Mountains card in this set, in this, like, 7-card little mini set here. It's just kind of good, period. There's just so much that I begrudgingly like about this. The thing is, I love Sonic the Hedgehog. I've been playing Sonic the Hedgehog since I was like 6 years old. I love Sonic the Hedgehog. That said, this all still feels a little strange. Final Fantasy was one thing, Final Fantasy was one thing. That's high fantasy. It makes perfect sense. This is Sonic the Hedgehog. but at the same time, Knuckles is like my favorite dude in the Sonic multiverse, I guess. Is it a multiverse? The Sonic universe. Sure. So, I don't know. Eggman's messing around a lot. Maybe it is a multiverse by now. But anyway, I got to give this dude props. I really do. No matter how you feel about Sonic as a set, you have to say this is a good Magic card. And that might cause you to have even more enraged feelings, but it is what it is. This is a good Magic card, and so are the last couple of things we're going to look at. But now let's look at the most dangerous card in these 7 new cards. Like, pretty definitely, man. We're going to look at Sonic last, because I feel like that just makes the most sense to reveal Sonic the Hedgehog last. But I would say that Shadow is actually maybe the best card in the whole thing. There's definitely people already talking about this for CEDH, and I've even heard some murmurings, people talking about Vintage and Legacy, but that's a wait and we'll see kind of situation. But can you imagine if Shadow the Hedgehog takes over Legacy? A Sonic the Hedgehog card takes over The old school Magic 4. It could happen. Let's read the card together. Double black and double red for a 4/2 legendary Hedgehog Mercenary with haste. Whenever Shadow the Hedgehog or another creature you control with flash or haste dies, draw a card. It also has chaos control. Each spell you cast has split second if mana from an artifact was spent to cast it. One thing is, this synergizes with Knuckles. Like pretty well when you think about it, you know, you're getting a lot of artifacts and you're spending mana from artifacts to cast stuff, and that stuff will have haste, whatever, I guess that's fine, but the stuff will have split second if you cast it with artifacts. And that is what's got everyone talking, mostly when it comes to the vintage and legacy players, you know, especially vintage, because, you know, you can actually play like Moxes and stuff there. So you'll have mana from artifacts. Trust me, you will. And getting split second, basically, if you're not familiar with it, means that the spell you're casting now cannot be responded to at all. No one can put a spell on the stack in front of it. No one can, you know, activate an ability of anything, basically. Split second means that this thing is getting through. It is resolving, and there's nothing you can do either to stop it resolving or to soften the blow of it resolving. Bloodghast is a creature that has haste and can keep coming back from your graveyard, and so maybe you sacrifice it to a Phyrexian Arena. You find ways to play multiple lands in a turn, and suddenly you're drawing cards every time your Bloodghast dies or something. Or a Brass Forge is kind of neat. You know, in your artifact deck, it is an artifact, so I guess that's kind of cute. But also, you know, whenever a creature with haste dies, draw a card, so that'll work with all these little forge tokens. There's also Determined Iteration, which does make a copy of something every single turn that then dies every single turn, so that'll draw you an extra card. Obviously, Shadow works with stuff like Hammer of Perforos, right? Because all your creatures have haste, so whenever anything you control dies, draw a card. That's cool. Works with Thatcher Revolt. That's a fun one. There's actually a lot of like really underplayed, completely forgotten cards like Thatcher Revolt that this works with. You know, anything that puts tokens into play that then die at end of turn, it's okay with. Salt Road Skirmish is another one because you put a couple of haste tokens into play, they die at end of turn, let's go. And then this actually even makes a card that I've been trying to figure out what to do with since I was 11 years old. Kind of almost playable. Balduvian Dead. Another Rakdos card. This one allows you to get cards, you know, creatures exiled from your yard, and play them. They have haste and they die at end of turn. So pretty cute, honestly. Something to actually do with Balduvian Dead. Just really in Commander kind of gets the brew brain going as far as what Rakdos creatures have, flash and or haste. There's obviously a lot more with haste, right? And, you know, I need to maybe even up my mana rock production a little bit more, my mana rock count slightly more, so I can get split second on everything I cast, which basically just means, as somebody put it on Twitter yesterday, they were responding to me about these Sonic cards, they basically said you just get like free win conditions, like uninterrupted win conditions once this is in place. You don't even have to be playing towards any of the other card strengths, just the fact that, you know, tap a mana rock down, which everyone's got a million of anyway, and suddenly you can just do whatever you want to, whistle at your opponents, and it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? What are you going to do about it? Oh, you can't do anything. Like, that's a very, very dangerous thing to have. Again, not just in Commander, but in some cases, I think it might be kind of dangerous to have that in older formats, which, again, this is legal in. So, just a banger of a Magic card, and why are they this good? Why are the cards this good? But let's finish off with Sonic. He's got attitude. He likes chili dogs, too. You guys remember the show? Anybody ever watch the Sonic show? He likes chili dogs. It's canon. It's canon that he likes chili dogs because of that stupid cartoon. But anyway, 4 mana, 1 a blue, a red, and a white for a 2/4 legendary Hedgehog Warrior with haste. He's also gotta go fast. Whenever Sonic the Hedgehog attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with flash or haste, including him, by the way. Whenever a creature you control with flash or haste is dealt damage, create a tapped treasure token. I didn't mean to sell Sonic short back there. I really didn't. I was like, oh, you know, I got to end the video with Sonic, show him some respect, and blah, blah. Card is very good. Card is really, really good. I looked so hard for an Enrage card with haste, like a creature with haste that has the Enrage ability. I couldn't find one. There's one with Flash, Snapping Sailback, I think his name is. But he's not in the right color identity for Sonic, so that's kind of lame. But so we won't be doing a whole lot of enraging, right? But there are a lot of other things that you can do with a card like this, right? There's plenty of stuff that you can have deal like 1 damage to all your dudes or something, like the Red Siege. I believe there's a Red Siege that allows you to do that. But there's plenty of other stuff that'll allow you to hit, you know, all creatures for 1 or something. And now you're creating a bunch of tap treasure tokens because all your flash haste guys didn't die to your like everyone take 1 damage spell, which I think is really, really cute. Like an earthquake effect or something like that. Just earthquake for 1 or 2 or whatever doesn't kill all your dudes. And sometimes I think even if it takes some of your guys out, you'll be happy to trade some of those dudes for a treasure token even. But mostly you're just running into combat and your opponent now has 2 problems. Right? If you run into combat with your haste or flash guys, now they get larger, so they have to deal with that. And even if they can block and kill those guys, it still pays you a treasure token. By the way, do you get the flavor whenever you take damage treasure token? So right, whenever your haste or flash guys take damage, they explode into a bunch of rings. And by the way, there is a ring treasure token in one of these secret layers. It's adorable, and people will absolutely hate it, I'm sure. And by the way, cutely, I guess, Sonic works really well with Knuckles and Amy and Tails. You know, it's in the right color identity to play with all 3 of those cards in the 99. And all 3 of them have flash or haste, right? So very cute the way they got, the synergy is delightful. But you know, there's a ton of haste and flash creatures, especially in Jeskai. You know, there's not that many flash creatures in red and black. There's a few, right? But when you open it up to Jeskai color identity, that's got all the good, like not just haste but flash stuff too. So yeah, Sonic, I imagine there's going to be a lot of decks brewed around this little guy right here. And it's definitely a lot better looking for Commander than it is, you know, older formats. You know, I can't really say the same things I can about Shadow, or that I did about Shadow, about Sonic, but still a pretty impressive looking Commander, all things considered. You know, unlike Knuckles, he's not going to like win you the game or anything, but he is going to make you a ton of treasure tokens on the way to winning the game. And he's just going to buff all the creatures you want to attack with anyway, because they all have haste every time they attack. Like, it's not going to be long until Sonic is a 5-power creature, right? And then his ability gets even better the larger all your creatures get. The more attack steps you get in with a Sonic the Hedgehog, you know, the better he gets, because now you can earthquake for like 3 or 4 and blow up a lot of the other creatures on the table, but all of your guys are safe. So wow, just an insane little card. Even works on your opponent's turn. Yeah, if you block with your haste flash guys, that's good. And you are liable to block, like flash in dudes and block with them. So that's very, very sick. I guess my one problem with this is that Sonic himself has to attack in order to get this anthem effect, basically. But that's fine. It can be arranged. We can make it work. It'll be okay, Sonic. Just good cards, man. And I'm sure that a lot of people are not super stoked about the fact that these cards are just good, and it is a fact. If you play Commander, you're probably going to have to see a Sonic the Hedgehog card across from you before too long. And that's wild, because the Sonic the Hedgehog was the card that the franchise that I used as like a funny example for a long time when I was just making stuff up. Like, oh yeah, I'll play your Sonic the Hedgehog into my Jake from Adventure Time. And like, these are actually things, even the Adventure Time secret layer, like we just got an Avatar The Last Airbender one. Who says they can't do a freaking Adventure Time one or a Steven Universe one, right? It's just, who cares if a show's been off the air for 10 years? Right. But anyway, we could get these things, and now the Sonic the Hedgehog one is a reality. So you can actually have one person playing SpongeBob as their commander and the other person playing Sonic the Hedgehog as their commander. Look, I can't deny that this makes all the money in the world, but I kind of just wish that like a different card company had done it. You know, not turned Hearthstone into this, but just made a whole card game that was basically like, okay, we're going to have Donatello from the Ninja Turtles versus the main character from Dune. You know? And now it's Magic the Gathering is going to be that. Within 3 years, we will get a TMNT one and we will get a Dune one. I can promise you these things. They have to happen. Anyway, I guess that's all I've got for this one. Please tell me your thoughts and opinions. Unless you're sick of giving your thoughts and opinions on this issue, because I sure have seen a lot of them in the 2 days since this thing was announced. The less than 48 hours since the set was announced. I'm pretty sure everyone who has an account anywhere on the internet has had something to say about it, boys. You know, if you still got something in there, that you haven't said yet, make sure to say it in the comments section, mostly for engagement, but also because I want to be super entertained by all of your, I'm sure, incredibly positive comments on this subject. I haven't told you to like in a couple of videos. Make sure you like. Look, it helps a lot. Puts me in more recommended feeds. It's a button shaped like a thumb. You can't miss it. It takes 2 seconds out of your day. It's 100% free. Just help you. Give me a like. Even if you didn't like it, just give me a like. But aside from that, sub to the channel. We are very, very close to the next 1,000. I think we're only like 2 people away. So go ahead and sub. You'll help us get there. But we also have a Patreon. It's $1 a month to kind of make sure we keep the lights on around here. It supports the channel a great deal and make sure I can keep doing this for a job. It's a great job. I really like it, like a lot. So I know a couple of you guys do too. So you want me to keep doing it, throw me $1 a month. It would be very, very much appreciated. And you'll get to vote on content here on the channel. But I guess that's it for this one. It's Itzky Lewitsky and Allsky Kowalski for Magic the Gathering. Sonic Secret Lair. But anyway, that's all I've got, guys. I'm Dev from the Place. Thanks for watching, Wizards. Spread love and be kind.